Welcome and thank you for joining us today. I'm Parna, the host of Beyond 1 Million Fireside Chat. In these segments, I have candid conversation with founders and experts who have built, battled, and broken through the 1 to 5 million barrier. My guest today is Mike LaCrosse, CEO of Medford Wellington. Welcome, Mike. It's so great to have you on our show.
Great, thanks for having me.
Of course. I was hoping that we can focus our conversation today around M&A, as a lot of startups don't think about acquisition as part of their growth strategy. What are you seeing before we launch into the rest of the conversation?
I think what I'm seeing is the M&A market, at least from the industry that we are in, is extremely hot. Seems to be like there's a lot of dry powder out there for a lot of different firms looking to do something. So I think the appetite for folks, or probably the number of phone calls that folks are getting, are probably on the high side. So it's probably something that's probably top of mind at this point.
That's great. So you've acquired businesses and also helped prepare companies for acquisition. What are the biggest misconceptions founders have about being acquisition ready?
I think the most important thing is you should consider yourself ready if you have a few things in place. The first one is strong financials, typically reported in GAAP. That's going to be very important for buyers. Typically, they're going to go through a quality of earnings process to make sure your financials are strong anyways and recorded in GAAP. The other thing that they're going to look for is a strong team. You may be the best founder, CEO, whatever you may title is, but do you have a team behind you that can ultimately support you going forward? And then also, do you have a growth strategy? Or, what does the growth strategy look like for the next year, 3, 5 years? Because that's what they're also going to be thinking about is the future and what's really in it for them if a transaction happens.
Really good point. In your experience, what makes a company attractive to acquirers? Is it always about revenue, or are there other signals that could matter more?
I think it's going to be dependent on the industry. If you're in the software industry, it's about recurring revenue, not even just revenue, recurring revenue. The industry that we're in is the buyers are typically focused on EBITDA, like how much profit are you having. But it really depends on the industry. I've also seen some companies just bought purely for the technology that they have. So it really is dependent. But what I would say is it's usually not just one item, it's a combination of a few. So in our industry, yes, great EBITDA is very, very attractive to buyers. But do you also have revenue growth? Do you have that strong team I just mentioned? And a couple of other things that are important for them. So I think it's really dependent on the industry and the buyer specifically.
Yeah, no, I think you're so there. So if a company is thinking about getting acquired eventually, when is the right time for them to start preparing for a potential acquisition?
So I'll go back to the financials. The most important thing is to start from the very beginning. So, if you're to start your company today, make sure your financials are clean. They're going to go back and do, like I said, that quality of earnings on you, and it's probably going to be a 3-year process of looking in the past. So they're going to want to make sure that you have 3 years of financials that are correct. And that's why I always say start now, start at the very beginning, start as soon as possible if you're ultimately going to prepare for both being acquired or doing the acquiring.
Yeah, I've been seeing some examples recently, especially in the tech world, where once the startup gets their funding, they look for companies that they can acquire or technologies that they can acquire rather than building from scratch. As you were saying, the acquisition to growth seemed to be becoming more popular today than it was maybe even 5 years ago.
Yeah, sometimes it's just faster to buy versus build. The timeline it can just go a lot faster, and that can help your speed to market and your growth strategy.
Yeah, no, for sure. So at Medford Wellington, you've obviously already led several acquisitions. What criteria do you look for when you're evaluating a potential target company?
One of them that we're really looking for today is a strong culture. We have a strong culture in our organization, but we want to make sure that we have another strong one to add to it. We don't want to have a negative culture and then put something together that could hurt our culture. For us specifically, because we've been around for a long time, we like a strong history, folks that have been around for a long period of time. And then finally, it's the team. For us, again, it's about technicians and how strong are the people in the organization, and how do we make sure that we're adding the right team to join us here for the future. So I probably say those few things.
That's great. Any lessons that you'd like to share?
I would just plan as much as you can in advance. These things are very difficult, they're very complex, and try and get as many people involved as you can. There's typically a lot of confidentiality around that, but it's all about setting expectations with both the seller and the buyer, making sure you understand what's going to happen day one, what's going to happen day 90, what's going to happen day 365. But it's about those expectations and making sure that everyone is aware and communicate what you plan to have happen, and then obviously try and make it happen. The biggest problem that we see is that there's going to be something that you uncover that you didn't know about, and you're going to have to figure out how to deal with it. So the better you can have those certain expectations set that are going to fall right in line would be great, because you're going to have a roadblock that pops up.
Any roadblocks that you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few in our last acquisition of just different compensation structures that we weren't aware of, and we started pulling our compensation or aligning our compensation structures with both companies, and there was something that popped up that said we didn't know that, and we had to pivot at the last minute, figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah, no, for sure. As you're preparing for these acquisitions, are there any red flags that will cause you to walk away from an acquisition, even if their numbers look awesome in paper?
To me, it's about the company culture. If there's something that just smells like it's going to be a problem, it's not worth hurting your own business that you built so well over the years. It's how do you make sure that you keep what you have, make 1 + 1 = 3. If you take 1 + 1, it only equals 1.5, then you actually set yourself back, and it takes a lot of time to do these things. So you want to make sure you do it right.
No, for sure. So tell us a little bit about Medford Wellington and what trends are you seeing in the construction industry?
Sure. So Medford Wellington, we go to market as the business continuity company. We have a team of HVAC, refrigeration, plumbing, and electrical professionals. We have a sheet metal shop. We have 160 employees here in New England, and about 125 technicians and trucks on the road servicing our commercial customers. What we're seeing right now is just what I mentioned before. It's a very attractive market for companies like ours. It's a strong business. It's a strong industry. It's a very attractive industry, and there's a lot of private equity money out there right there that's very interested in getting into this market.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, before we wrap up, is there one tip that you'll give to an entrepreneur who's looking to grow their startup to 5 million and beyond?
Yeah, I would say the one thing I would do is make sure that you have the right advisors around you. So whether that's lawyers, accountants, industry advisors, whatever it may be. In my case, we don't have a lot of folks that have done a lot of M&A in our team, so we have to supplement that with outsourced advisors. Depending on your situation, what company you work for and where you come from, you just want to make sure that you have the right folks around you to support you. I always tell people that when you go through these acquisitions, it's like taking on a second job. So if you're working already 60 hours a week, plan on working 120 hours a week. They're a lot of work, and they can really pay off, but they can also take up a lot of your time.
No, that's for sure. I think, being a founder is really hard. But when you succeed, it's definitely, everything then feels like it's worth it for sure. Um,
Right.
Anything else you'd like to add, Mike?
No, I think we covered everything, but thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate your time, and I'm sure our audience will really learn a lot from your insights. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.